Hi guys, how's it going? So, somebody asked me to make a video about the cost of living here in the Philippines. So, I've been thinking about it most of the day. This is going to be a average basic rundown of cost of living. Okay, this particular person said that they had heard most expats, which would be a foreigner, need to have around $1,200 US. That would be a fairly comfortable amount if you want to be living like the rich life. As you can see, I'm using the headset. I'm still working on getting a different editing thing to be working for me. So, even though my camera does have a microphone in it, I'm using this to make sure that you can hear me. And I'm using the YouTube record. So, anyways, back to the subject. The cost of living in the Philippines. Currently, the US dollar converts to 44 pesos and 65 centavos. Alright? So, depending on what kind of budget you have to work with, that would depend, that would tell you, how many pesos you're going to have every month or however often you get your money. So, going from there, let's see here. Most people will start out renting. That's pretty safe to say. Most people will start out renting. Rent generally costs between 6,000 to 10,000 pesos a month for an average place. If you were to live in a metro area like the capital city, Manila, probably closer to the 10,000 range for the lower priced apartments to live in. I've also seen some condos that are around 10,000 pesos a month. They do have some fees because you're going to have a swimming pool and blah blah blah. I don't live in Condoville. And the condo for that price is pretty small. Pretty small. If you live outside of the metro area, which I would recommend if you're on a tighter budget and you don't want to live in Condoville, you want to experience Philippines the way the Filipinos do, I would say try living outside of the city. The further out you get from the more populated areas, the less your rent's going to be. I think that's fairly true for anywhere. So, I did look to see what the cost of a house and lot for sale is in the capital region. Okay, the lowest price I seen was 2 million pesos, and it goes up from there, depending on what kind of house you want, how many bedrooms, how big the lot is, how big the house is. That's going to affect your price. That's kind of obvious. So, let's see. The average electric bill. Okay, let's look at the bills. The average electric bill is about 2,000 pesos. It will be more if you have an air conditioner. I use a fan. I use 3 fans. And they're going pretty much non-stop because it is hot here, in case you didn't know. And it's humid, so get used to being sweaty. Most people have one of these somewhere in their pocket usually. It's for wiping sweat, not blowing your nose. If you're doing both, good luck. So, yeah. The average electric bill is about 2,000 pesos. Your water, you will pay for your water, and that will usually run, on the high end, about 1,000 pesos. It's not that much. And again, like I said, 1 USD to 44 pesos, 65 centavos. Do the math. 1,000 pesos is like maybe $15. Maybe not even that much. So yeah, the water about 1,000 pesos. Your electric is going to be about 2,000 pesos more if you have more stuff running. I have a TV. My TV is on a good amount of hours, but we do turn it off if there's nobody there. You probably want to have some fluorescent light bulbs to save on electricity. That helps. They are a little bit expensive, just like anywhere, but they do help. Another bill would be your gas. Unless you have an electric stove, which I wouldn't recommend because the cost of electricity here is pretty expensive. I think it's the highest rate in all of Southeast Asia, so it's kind of expensive. Your gas is like a propane tank, liquid petroleum gas. Those are about 1,000 pesos for a I think it's like 11 or 12 kilos in weight size can. And for me, we do a lot of cooking in gas. I have an oven, don't usually use it, but it lasts about 2 months on average, so you're not doing that every month. And again, it depends how much you cook. Let's see, what else? Electric, gas, water, internet. I'm using the internet, so yeah. Internet depends on your provider. The internet here is pretty slow. Average internet speed is about 3 Mbps. Most people pay for the 5 Mbps, which you won't always get, probably hardly ever get, but at least it's still better than the 3. Depends on the provider. If you go through PLDT, which is the largest one here, it'll run you about 3,300 pesos, 3,300 pesos. I use a different one, Globe, 5 Mbps with a landline phone, and it cost me about 1,700 pesos a month, so it just depends on your provider. Garbage. If you live in some areas, you have to pay someone to pick up your garbage. Isn't usually that much. Like, I have to pay somebody, but it's only, I think, 150 pesos a month, so like $3, and he comes 3 times a week, and it works out okay. Food. Depending on how you want to eat, depends on how much you're going to end up spending on your food. I like to eat fresh meat. I don't eat frozen stuff that often, hardly ever. And I like, fresh fruit and veg. Well, if you want to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you can go to the public market and buy all that there. The price a little bit less than a regular grocery store, but not by much. And sometimes you might run the risk, depending on where you live, of getting what they call double dead meat. And that means that it was dead before they butchered it up and said that they killed it. And sometimes that's not so great. My mother-in-law usually does the meat shopping at those markets because she knows how to look, what to look for. She's lived here all her life, so she knows what to look for to make sure that we're not getting double dead meat. But I do buy most of my meat at the regular supermarket. Fruits and vegetables, use common sense. If you can't tell what a fresh fruit is, maybe you should go to the store and ask them to explain, how do I tell if this is ripe? I've done it a couple of times for things that I have never seen before. So there's no shame in that. They don't really laugh at you. They'll just, this, and then you're like, okay. So yeah, that's your food. I spend about between 5,000 to 7,000 pesos every 2 weeks, depending. The first part of the month, I spend a little bit more because I'm buying miscellaneous items like house cleaning things, soap, shampoo. I only buy rice once a month. I go through about 10 kilos of rice between my wife and I and my mother-in-law and whoever else happens to be here. That is about, I think it's like 500 or 600 pesos for 10 kilos of rice, which is quite a lot. But yeah, I spend about 5,000 to 7,000 pesos every 2 weeks on food. Let's see. Public transportation, it's not that much. If it's too far to walk, public transportation is not that much. You can ride a Jeep for 8.5 pesos, okay? Or you could ride a tricycle. Depending on how far it is, you're not going to spend much more than 150 pesos, probably less if it's close. There are a couple of other channels that I watch sometimes. They do some pretty good stuff about what life here is like. That's like their main topic. PhilippineDreams. It's a guy named Ned and his wife Michelle. Every once in a while they do a budget breakdown, and it's pretty precise on what they're spending every month. I'm pretty sure from the pictures his house is bigger. He has a yard and he has a truck and he has 2 motorbikes, so yeah. I don't know what kind of budget he works with, but he is pretty specific on how much he's spending every month. Another guy that I watch sometimes is, they call him Rike, but his channel is Life Beyond the Sea, and his stuff is more about what's around his town, like restaurants and things. But he's a single guy, so he also does videos about what it's like trying to find Mrs. Right, but then she took a left. So, yeah, if you're looking for that kind of thing, Life Beyond the Sea. If you want more about budgeting in the Philippines, myphilippinedreams.com. Those 2 guys are pretty good to watch. As I've said in my intro video, my videos are just whatever subject. Whatever somebody asks me to make a video about, I'll do that. Whatever I find interesting, I do that. I think there's quite a few videos of mine where I'm just going from point A to point B, but it's like, oh hey, look at this. A few of them you can't really hear me, but anyways. I hope this helped you out. If you have any other questions, video suggestions, just leave it in the comments, and hopefully thumbs up. Hope you like it. Thanks.